The twin suns of Arcadia 5 glowed gently over a peaceful world. Green valleys stretched between silver mountains. Children laughed in the colony streets, and engineers worked on farming drones and water processors. Birds from Earth flew freely, mixed with native glowing insects that danced like sparks in the wind. For the people living here, it was a dream of second Earth. Safe, far from war, far from fear. But the dream ended in one single moment. It started as a sound. A low hum across the sky, like a whisper of thunder without clouds. No one noticed. At first, a few colonists looked up, frowning, unsure if they heard something. A farmer's drone paused in midair and fell to the ground. Then the sky opened. From high above, dark shapes came down, not ships that flew straight or clean, but twisted things, like metal fused with bone. Black spines, glowing red lines. No engines, no sound, just falling like death itself. The colony alarms screamed. Sirens echoed. The mayor shouted over the emergency speaker. Unknown ships approaching. All civilians to shelter.
This is not
a drill. People ran. Families grabbed their children. Doors locked. But it was already too late. The first explosion hit the East District. Fire rose high, but there was no flame sound, only silence. The fire moved strangely, like liquid light, crawling along buildings and pulling them down. The second explosion hit the COM tower. Arcadia's message to Earth was halfway sent when the antenna was vaporized in a flash of blue. Inside a shelter, 5-year-old Lila asked her mother, "Why is the sky crying?" Her mother couldn't answer.
outside the
Air was filled with shadows. Strange creatures began walking through the colony. They were not fully alive, not machines either. Something between. Long arms, no eyes, skin like cracked stone, and mouths that opened sideways with no lips. The people who saw them scream door went silent forever. The creatures didn't speak. They didn't shoot lasers or weapons. They just moved forward, touching walls, floors, humans, and everything they touched. Changed. A man named Peter, a colony guard, fired his pulse rifle at one. It didn't bleed. It didn't fall. Kept. Walking. He emptied his entire clip, but the creature never even flinched. Then it turned to him. Man, the lights around Peter began to flicker. His helmet cracked from inside. Blood ran from his ears. Peter dropped his gun and fell, his eyes wide with terror, lips still whispering, "Make it stop." By the time Earth's listening station picked up the signal, it was already too late. At Earth Command, high in orbit over the planet, a young communications officer named Alea leaned forward, staring at her screen. "Sir," she called out, voice tight, "we have a partial distress beacon." He was tall, his face scarred from past battles, wearing the black and red uniform of Earth's High Command. "Play it," he ordered. Alea hit the button. The room filled with static. Then voices, screaming, gunfire, a child crying. A woman yelling coordinates. Then silence. One final whisper came through the speaker, shaky, barely audible. "They came from the dark. They don't want land. They want fear." Then the signal cut. No trace. No return channel. General Kale stared at the screen. His jaw tightened. He knew the colony well. His cousin lived there. His godson, too. "How long ago was that broadcast?" he asked. 8 hours, Alea said softly. "We haven't heard anything since. No ships leaving the surface. No orbital activity. It's like the entire planet went dark." The lights in the command room flickered. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Kale turned to the others in the room. "Wake the fleet. I want full recon on Arcadia. If we get even a shadow of an enemy signature," his voice went cold, "we bring the dragons." The others froze. The dragons were Earth's deadliest force. Not just soldiers, survivors of Earth's harshest training grounds. They lived on volcano peaks, trained in zero gravity, fought in acid storms. People called them monsters. Some said they had no souls left. But when the galaxy needed a message delivered through fire, it was the dragons who answered. Alea swallowed. "Hard, sir. Are you sure?" Kale didn't blink. They attacked human blood. They silenced an entire colony. This isn't just war, it's a message. Now Earth sends one back. That night, above Earth's atmosphere, inside a ship shaped like a black dragon's skull, the soldiers of the 91st Dragon Corps received their orders. One by one, they stood in silence as the briefing played. Images of Arcadia before and after. The peaceful cities, the screaming children, the dark things moving in the smoke. A voice spoke in the chamber. Not human, cold, AI, enhanced, direct. Dragons, the stars screamed. And now it is your turn to answer. Kale stepped forward, armor gleaming in crimson light. We don't know who or what these things are, he said. But they made one mistake. They thought Earth forgot how to burn. They thought we'd ignore a scream. They were wrong. He looked at every face guard, tattooed, cold-eyed warriors who'd survived the worst places in known space. This isn't revenge. This is survival. If they take one colony, they'll take more. So we burn them first. We'll end it before it spreads. A young dragon named Rika raised her hand. What if it's not over there? What if Arcadia was just a test? Kale nodded. Then we'll find where the real enemy hides. We'll bring the fire to them. Outside, the dragon ships began to move. Engines roared like thunder. Their hulls were black, shaped like myth-sharp edges, wings of metal, fangs made of plasma. But their hearts reflected off their armor, but their hearts burned with war and across the galaxy. On the dead colony of Arcadia 5, something ancient stirred beneath the soil. The creatures were still moving, digging, harvesting, building. From deep underground, something opened an eye, something older than war, something not from this universe, and it whispered in a language no human had ever heard, yet every human soul would one day understand. More fear, bring more. Back on Earth, in the quiet before war, the president watched the stars from her tower. She held a tablet showing the last full picture taken from Arcadia sunset, with children running. She turned to her advisors. Tell them, she said. Tell the galaxy. Her voice shook slightly, but her eyes did not. Earth is sending its dragons. The space above Earth was no longer calm. Warships lined the skies like thunderclouds, black and burning with energy. Inside the main carrier Crimson Vow, the dragons prepared. These were not ordinary soldiers. They were born of Earth's rage, shaped in fire, trained to be unbreakable. Each one had survived deadly trials, underwater volcano dives, gravity storms, mind pressure chambers that could drive weaker humans mad. Their motto was burned into every ship's steel. When Earth is silent, we roar. Inside the armory, Dragon Rika stood alone. She looked young, but her eyes had seen more horror than most generals. She tightened the straps on her armored suit and loaded her plasma rifle. Around her, the red lights of combat alert flashed silently. Behind her, the doors hissed open. General Kale entered, his armor gleaming black and red. Deep scar ran down his jaw. He said nothing at first, yet just stared at the hologram floating in front of them. It showed Arcadia-5, or what was left of it. Entire cities turned to dust. Power grids collapsed. No human life signs. But strange readings pulsed from beneath the surface life, but not as we knew it. Twisted heat signatures, energy moving like veins through the soil. Kale broke the silence. We've confirmed it. The colony is gone, but the enemy is still there, moving, watching, preparing for something bigger. Rika didn't blink. I think we're afraid. Kale nodded. Let's show them what fear feels like. Outside the ship, dozens of other carriers formed behind Crimson Vow. The Dragon Corps' fleet's silent giants in the dark. Back on Earth, across every news feed, a simple message repeated. Earth forces mobilized for full retaliation. Enemy unknown. No peace talks, no delays. The galaxy heard the message. Some alien empires watched in silence. Others warned Earth not to escalate. But Earth didn't care. Not this time. Arcadia was home. And the enemy had made it personal. Inside the command center of the fleet, a new figure appeared in AI, known as Thalos, designed for dragon warfare. Its voice echoed across every ship, cold, precise. Scans confirmed the enemy harvests life. Signatures. Not for power, not for data, for something. Emotional. They collect pain, fear, memory. Kale frowned. They eat feelings, Thalos replied. They survive on it, perhaps even grow from it. Arcadia was a harvest, a test. The fleet grew silent. They wanted to see how loud a colony could scream, Kale said darkly. They're about to learn how loud Earth can answer. The order was given. Jump engines charged target. Arcadia 5. Objective, ground strike. Full sweep, enemy capture or elimination. No survivors among hostiles. No mercy. The stars twisted as the fleet entered warp. In the space between space, the ships moved like shadows through fire. Every dragon sat in silence, preparing their minds. They used ancient breathing methods. Some wrote names on their weapons, the names of loved ones lost. Others simply stared forward. Rika closed her eyes. In her hand, she held a small charma metal dragon given to her by her brother before he died in training. She whispered to it, "I'll make them pay." The ship dropped out of warp. Arcadia 5 appeared below, spinning silently. There were no satellites, no defense beacons, just darkness. As the first wave of dragon scouts descended, the planet began to shift. Heat signatures rose. Energy pulses formed strange patterns across the surface like ancient runes. Pulsing with hate, deep cracks opened in the ground.
All black.
Smoke lifted into orbit, and from within it came the enemy. Not ships, not life forms, but living machines. Twisted metal beasts. Floating towers of bone and steel, wrapped in cables that moved like tentacles. Red lights scanned the approaching ships. A scream echoed across the fleet, not through sound, but through mind. Some weaker pilots clutched their heads, to ships, lost control, and spun into fire. Kale's voice boomed over comms. "Focus. Block the scream. Remember your training. They can't use fear if you give them none." The dragons pushed forward. Phase 1. Orbital strike. The sky over Arcadia lit. Up with Earth's fury, plasma missiles rained down. Particle beams ripped across the surface. Enemy structures burned, screamed, and broke apart. But it wasn't enough. From the deep cracks, the real enemy rose. Massive creatures 4 stories tall, crawling on mechanical legs. Their heads split open like flowers, revealing glowing minds filled with red mist. These were harvesters, the ones who had taken Arcadia's people. They didn't fire weapons. They projected terror. Every dragon who saw them felt something crawl into their thoughts. Old nightmares, personal regrets, forgotten failures. Like being inside your own funeral. But Rika stood her ground. She jumped from her dropship, landed hard on the battlefield, and charged. She fired her plasma rifle into the harvester's face, even as its mind scream pierced hers. Her HUD cracked, blood dripped from her nose. But she didn't stop. With a war cry that shook the battlefield, she drew her grav blade, a weapon that bends local gravity into a cutting edge, and sliced upward. The harvester's head tore in. Half its scream died, and for the first time, the enemy flinched. Elsewhere, Kale led a team through a ruined colony square. They found what was left of the main shelter. Popped inside were hundreds of empty beds and one survivor, a young man, skin pale. Eyes wide, curled in a corner, Kale knelt. "You're safe now. We're Earth forces. What happened here?" The man didn't answer at first. Then he looked up. His eyes were glowing red. Kale pulled back just in time. The man opened his mouth and the scream came, not his voice. The enemy's Kale. Fired a microblast that ended it instantly. Sir Thalos said in his ear, "They don't just feed. They embed survivors may not be survivors." Kale looked out at the ruined world. "Then we changed the plan." He activated fleet-wide comms. "This is General Kale. No prisoners. If they're human, test them. If not, end them. Arcadia is no longer a rescue mission. It's a warning. As the dragons pushed forward, they found more twisted structures towers built from melted buildings and human bones. Data cores full of emotion recordings, stasis pods where humans were held. In permanent fear, machines that played their screams on loop. This was not war. It was horror. But Earth's dragons were born for fire. Born for death. And now, they were awake. By the time the battle ended, Arcadia's skies were burning. The dragon core stood in the ashes, weapons glowing, hearts burning hotter. Rika looked at the final harvester, now in pieces, they thought. We'd be scared, she said, but we're from Earth. Kale stood beside her, and Earth remembers. Above them, the fleet moved into formation. This was just the first fight, and somewhere deep in enemy space, something worse waited, watching, waiting, growing. Ashes still floated in the red sky above Arcadia 5. The land was broken. The silence was deep, like the planet itself was holding its breath. But the war wasn't over, not even close. Dragon Rika walked through the remains of an alien outpost. Her boots crunched over cracked stone and shattered bone. A low wind moved through the ruins, carrying whispers that didn't belong. The ground felt wrong soft in some places, like flesh under dirt. Every step deeper brought more tension, more cold. Behind her, 2 other dragons followed Corwin and Lysa, both armored, weapons ready. The team scanned everything, but the readings made no sense. No heat, Corwin said, his voice tight. No life, no movement. But I feel something watching, Rika nodded. Same, keep eyes open. They reached the center of the ruins and stopped. A black arch stood there, pulsing with red light. Around it, metal shapes were arranged like circle machines maybe, or altars. All of them were dripping with a thick, dark liquid that wasn't quite blood. Lysa took a slow breath. This place feels haunted. Then they heard it. A whisper, but not in their ears. Inside their heads, more fear, more taste, more souls. Corwin grabbed the side of his helmet. It's in my mind. Rika touched his shoulder. Breathe, focus. It's trying to get in. Don't let it. Suddenly a burst of static filled their coms. General Kale's voice came through, rough and sharp. All ground teams report. Unknown signal is spreading. If you hear voices, do not follow, do not respond. Rika responded quickly. Team 6 here. We've found something. Some kind of alien gate. And sir, it's speaking. Kale's voice darkened. Pull back. Immediately. Reinforcements inbound. And Rika, keep recording. Far above in orbit, Kale stood in the control room of Crimson Vow. Around him, holograms showed all active squads. One by one, teams reported strange visions, missing soldiers, corrupted data. This isn't a war machine, Kale said. Something else. A weapon of the mind. Beside him, the AI Thalos processed millions of enemy signals. Its voice echoed calmly. Confirmed, the enemy is psychic in nature. Our tech is based on emotion frequency, primarily fear. They infect minds, break willpower, extract memories. Kale's hands tightened into fists. They harvest souls. Talos projected a new image, a massive underground facility beneath Arcadia's surface. Inside, rows of pods, human bodies suspended in dark fluid. Brain scans showed high emotional activity, each mind trapped in its worst nightmare. This is their farm, Thalos said. This is where they feed. Back on the ground, Rika's team reached a small chamber behind the black arch. Inside, they found what looked like a cryopod. It wasn't built by humans. It was grown. Bone fused with wires. Pulsing tubes wrapped around the chamber like veins. And inside, a survivor, a young woman. Her eyes were open but unfocused. Her mouth moved, whispering words they couldn't hear. Her body was thin, too thin. Skin glowed with a faint red hue. She's alive, Lysa whispered. Or something close. Rika stepped forward, lifted her visor, and stared at the woman. Let's get her out. Corwin moved to open the pod, but the second he touched it, the woman screamed. Not with her mind, with her mind. Pain. Fire. Loss. No escape. Don't open it. Don't. All three dragons fell back, grabbing their heads. Shut it down. Rika yelled, got. Corwin fired his M-cutter into the pod's nerve bundle. The machine jerked, spasmed, then stopped moving. The woman went still, her eyes closed. The whispers stopped. Lysa knelt beside her, scanning her vitals. She's alive. Weak. Brain damage, maybe. She's not one of them. Rika looked at the broken pod, then at the other empty ones around it. They were keeping her. Feeding. On her emotions, but she fought back. She turned on her coms. Command. We found a live subject. She fought the psychic trap. She might have answers. Kale's voice returned. Copy. Get her off-world. Full lockdown. We need to know what these things are and why they started with Arcadia. Hours later, in the medbay of Crimson Vow, the woman finally spoke. Her voice was dry, weak, but steady. They are not like us. Kale stood by her side. Who are they? She looked at him with wide, haunted eyes. They don't have names. They don't think in words. They swim in pain, in fear. They taste it, shape it. That's how they grow. Kale leaned closer. Why attack us? She shook her head. Not to conquer. What? To eat. Arcadia had no weapons, no soldiers, just families. That made it sweet. She coughed. They learned from us, from humans, how to harvest emotion, how to trap memory. We taught them. Kale frowned. How? Her voice dropped to a whisper, because we found one of them. First, the room froze. What did you say? Kale asked. She nodded. 10 years ago? On a mining station near Epsilon Ridge, we found something. Something sleeping. A body, half machine, half soul. We brought it home. We studied it. We poked it. And it woke up. She looked Kale in the eyes, and now its children are feeding. Kale left the medbay in silence. His face was stone, but his mind was fire. Back in the command center, he spoke to Thalos. Search all Earth records. Look for incidents near Epsilon Ridge, any alien contact, any unknown tech. Thalos blinked. Match mining vessel Solace. Lost contact 10 years ago. Recovered with no crew. Strange material found in logs. Case classified and buried by Earth's intelligence command. Kale clenched his jaw. They knew. Earth knew something. And they kept it secret. Talos showed one last image. A metal artifact. Circular, covered in runes. The same shape as the Black Arch on Arcadia. Kale stared at it. This war didn't start today. His voice dropped to a whisper. It started the day we poked the monster. Far across the stars, beyond known space, inside a dark and frozen moon. A being stirred. It was massive, half live, wrapped in metal and screams. It pulsed with red. Light as it fed on the minds of trapped humans stored in deep vaults. It opened one glowing eye, and it felt the death of its children on Arcadia. It did not speak, but every Shurja across the stars heard the message in their minds. Prepare. The dragons are coming. Let them taste fear. The stars over Arcadia 5 were no longer silent. They burned with the heat of war. Above the ruined colony, the Crimson Vow led the dragon fleet in full formation. Massive carriers, gunships, and fighter squadrons hovered in low orbit. Their hulls glowed red from the planet's reflection below. The dragons had struck first and struck hard, but now the enemy had answered, and it was no longer hiding. A second wave of alien ships had arrived. But these were different from the twisted towers seen before. These were bigger, darker, alive in ways no machine should be. They moved through space like creatures in water, sliding, shifting, pulsing. Their hulls were made of black stone and bone. Their engines didn't burn, they screamed. Rika stood on the command deck of a smaller strike ship, staring at the main screen. The enemy fleet hung just outside firing range, still too quiet. "They're waiting," she said. "For what?" asked Lysa beside her. Rika answered without turning. "For us to come to them." General Kale's voice cut through the coms. "All ships hold position. Scanners report psychic interference increasing. This battle won't just be fought with weapons. They'll try to break your minds." Thalos, the AI overseeing fleet intelligence, added. "Enemy ships now identified as psychic vessels. They link to each other. If one sees you, they all feel you. Suggest coordinated strike or silent approach. No solo actions." Kale gave the order. "Prepare all weapons. Launch Dragonfire protocol." On every Dragon ship, teams moved quickly. Power cores warmed, shields adjusted for mental shielding. Plasma cannons hummed. Inside the armory, warriors painted symbols on their helmets: dragons, skulls, burning suns. These weren't just soldiers. They were the last breath Earth gave before turning to ashdot in the hangars. Strike fighters prepped for launch. Were Phoenix talons fast, sharp, shaped like diving birds. Rika and her squad loaded into theirs, weapons hot, nerves cold. "This one's not about rescue," Rika said through coms. "We're not going down there. We bring the storm too. Them." Corwin laughed in the background. Finally, it's getting bored of rocks and screams. They launched into space. 20 fighters in diamond formation. Red lights blinking across blackness. Behind them, the fleet followed. Dragonfire protocol meant full assault, no retreat. The enemy waited, then moved. One of the alien ships twisted, its body like a serpent, and fired. But not with lasers or bullets, with sound. A psychic wave spread out in space, visible like a ripple in water. It hit the fighters first. Every pilot felt it. Not pain, not heat, memories. Rika gasped. Her mind filled with her brother's last breath, the training field. His eyes wide, blood, fire, screams. Her fighter began to spin. "Rika," Lysa called. "Out. Break the vision. It's not real." She gritted her teeth, slammed her head back against her seat, and yelled, "I'm not scared of the past." The image cracked like glass in her mind. She regained control and surged forward. Around her, other pilots struggled. Some lost, some screamed. One ship spiraled and exploded against an invisible psychic wall. Kale's voice roared over the fleet's coms. "Use your anchor thoughts. Focus. Push back. They feed on your fear, so give them your rage instead." The dragons did. With screams of fury and weapons glowing, they broke through the psychic storm. Missiles fired. Plasma beams danced across the dark. The first alien ship tried to dodge but was too slow. A full volley from 3 dragon ships hit its side. Its body tore open. Black fluid sprayed into space. Something inside it howled. It died screaming, and the rest of the enemy fleet felt it. The alien ships pulsed red, then all at once Dash moved fast. Too fast, they swarmed the dragons. Space became chaos. Dogfights in 3 dimensions. Human fighters danced between the bones of alien cruisers. Cannons fired in every direction. One dragon carrier lost power as 3 enemy spikes pierced its hull. It fell into Arcadia's atmosphere in flames, but the dragons gave back fire. One by one, alien ships burst into black flame. Rika locked on to one creature-like ship that moved like a manta ray. It fired small shards of psychic energy at Herch 1, flashing with memories of her childhood, her pain, her doubt. But she grinned. "You want pain?" she whispered. "I live with it." She fired. Her grav-burst missile punched through. Its side, the ship tore in half. "Direct hit," Lysa shouted. "That's 3 for you," Makit 4 Rika replied, diving toward another. Meanwhile, General Kale had taken command of the main assault force. His capital ship, Crimson. Val flew straight into the center of the enemy fleet. Cannons on both sides fired in rhythm. Kale stood tall in the control room. "Bring us into range of the big one," he said. Tasha Loss warned him. "That ship is the source of the psychic network. If we hit it, the others may fall, but it will not go down easy." Kale's face was steel. "I know." They closed in, The enemy command ship was unlike the others. It had a shape like a giant centipede, with a brain-like dome at its core. Red veins pulsed across its body. It released a wave of voices, dozens, maybe hundreds of human screams from the Arcadia colony. The crew aboard Crimson Vow held their heads, noses bled. Eyes watered. Kale walked forward, into the center of the storm. He placed both hands on the control sphere and activated the neurocore Canona weapon built from stolen alien tech. One shot only. Powered by the thoughts and rage of the Dragon Command. "Target locked," said the weapons officer. Kale whispered, "This is for Arcadia." He fired. A beam of pure mental energy shot out. It hit the enemy ship's core. The screams. Twisted, turned to static, then silence. The alien command ship cracked open, its mind burned out, and the others froze. For a moment, every alien ship stopped moving. Their link was broken. The dragons didn't waste it. Every fighter, every cannon, every weapon fired at once. The sky turned red with flame. Alien ships fell, exploded, burned by the time it ended. Only human ships remained. Rika hovered in space, breathing hard, her ship covered in heat scars. "We won," she whispered. Kale's voice came through. "No, we survived. This was only the outer fleet, and they'll send more."
Alice
Added, "New readings confirm it. A massive signal is heading this way. 10 times the size." "Faster then?" "WARP. Unknown origin." Kale turned to his crew. "Then we go first. We don't wait for them to reach Earth." He looked at the burning wreckage around him. They wanted to taste fear. Now we bring them fire, far away in a distant part of the galaxy. Something stirred. A star blinked out. Then another. The Devourer had heard the screams of its children, and it was coming. Arcadia 5 had stopped screaming. The skies were quiet now. The ash had settled. But what remained was not peace. It was something worse, silence, soaked in death. The surface looked empty from above. Cities reduced to black scars. Roads twisted into melted metal. Even the winds had changed. Thin, dry, and full of dust that didn't blow like normal dust. It floated slow, like it was thinking, watching. But Earth wasn't done with Arcadia. General Kale stood on the drop ramp of the Crimson Vow, dotted watching. The burning horizon as his boots touched the ruined soil for the first time. Its armor hissed as it adjusted to the poisoned air. Around him, dragons moved like shadows, guns, ready, eyes sharp. Kale's voice was hard. This colony was more than a target. It was a doorway, and now we're going to kick it open. Rika landed beside him with her squad. Her face was dirty. Helmet tucked under her arm, eyes cold. "I don't like this place," she said. Kale looked out toward the broken hills. "Neither do I. That's why we're here. Mission objective: dig, uncover, destroy." The dragons had tracked a signal deep. Below the colony ruins? Not a distress beacon, not a power core. Something older. It pulsed every few minutes like a heartbeat. Echoing through the planet's crust. Could be a nest, Thalos had said earlier. Or something worse now. The soldiers marched through what used to be Arcadia's central district. Street signs were burned halfway. A school had collapsed inward. A park had become a crater. On a broken wall, someone had spray-painted 3 words before dying. "They smell fear." Kale stopped near a ruined government building. "Here, start the scan." Rika's team dropped seismic pods into the ground. The scanners burrowed fast, sending back data. Lysa read the first wave. "There's a massive structure underground. At least 5 levels. Artificial walls and tunnels. Lots of them." Corwin added, "Readings say metal, bone, fluid. It's alive down there." Rika nodded. "So we kill it." The ground began to shake. Everyone turned. At first, it sounded like thunder, then it changed. It became breathing. Suddenly, a piece of road cracked and flipped open like a trapdoor. Beneath it, black stairs, ancient, covered in red light. Kale looked down into the dark. "Wait, we're going in." The tunnels were tight, wet, and wrong. Lights flickered. walls pulsed like flesh. The further they went, the colder it got. Not temperature cold, but soul cold. No one spoke. Guns aimed forward. Scanners tracked movement that didn't exist. At level 3, they found the first horror. Rows of humans, hung upside down, bodies floating. In strange red liquid. Eyes wide. Still alive, but not moving. "They're dreaming," whispered Rika. Lysa checked her scanner. "They're in some kind of emotional loop. Nightmare simulation. The same fear, over and over." Kale touched the nearest pod. "Their fear is being harvested. This isn't war, it's farming." Suddenly, a screen came to life on the wall. Not a human screen, but something organic. Grown, not built. An image appeared. Not a face, not a voice. Just an idea. It showed Arcadia before the attack. Happy people, families. Then, it showed those same people, screaming, dying, then looping. Back. The screen was showing the same terror again and again. "They recorded the colony's fall," Rika said, shaking her head. "And now they replay it. To feed on it." Kale gave the order. "End it. All pods. Release the humans if they're alive, and the machines if they're not." The dragons moved fast, placing charges and cutting power lines. Screams echoed as the system died digital voices, not human. Like the base itself was angry. Then came the howl. Not from the walls. It's not from the air. From beneath. Deep. Massive and real. Kale looked at the scanner. "We just woke something up. Level 5. The core." The stairs twisted into a long tunnel. Then, opened into a chamber the size of a city, and at the center, was it a massive, throbbing structure shaped like an egg, suspended by black cables dripping fluid? It pulsed with every second like a beating heart. "This is the hive," Lysa said. Softly, "No," said Talos through comes. "This is something else. This is the egg of a god." Kale stepped forward. "The devourer." Talos confirmed. "Yes. Not born yet. Not complete. This entire planet was preparation. The fear was fuel. The harvest was a ritual." Corwin stared at the giant thing. They weren't just feeding. They were growing something. Suddenly, the egg cracked. Everyone backed up. From inside came a low, deep noise. Not a scream, not a growl, a whisper that filled every soldier's head. "I have tasted your pain. I want more." Rika clutched her helmet. "Get it out of my head." Kale roared. "Talos. Options," the AI responded. 1. Detonate. Avoid core bomb. Total destruction. Total wipeout. Risk. High. Collateral. Entire planet. Kale didn't hesitate. "Do it." But Rika shouted. "Wait. There are still survivors on the upper levels." Kale looked her in the eyes. "We leave. This thing alive, we lose Earth." Silence fell. Then a voice came from the stairs. A whisper. The rescued woman from Part 3 stepped forward, still weak, still half broken. "I know what to do," she said. Everyone turned. She pointed to the egg. "It's a mind. Minds can be tricked. Let me inside. I'll lock it in a loop. I'll make it think it's still sleeping." Kale stared at her. "You won't come back." She smiled. "Neither will it." Talos connected her mind to the egg through a neural cord. She screamed once loud and sharp. The egg pulsed, cracked, stopped moving. The whispers died. Everything went still. Rika whispered, "Did she?" Kale nodded. She gave up her mind to trap it in a dream. Lysa checked her scanner. The signal's fading. The Devourer's gone. For now. Kale activated the fleet beacon. "This is General Kale. Hive neutralized. Colony is dead. But the Devourer sleeps again." He paused. "But not forever." Far away, something heard the silence. The Devourer did not die. It dreamed. And in its dream, Earth burned. The war should have ended on Arcadia. But it didn't. The Devourer had been trapped, its mind locked inside a dream by a broken, brave soul. Arcadia was scorched, silent, and buried in ash. But Kale knew the truth. So did the dragons. The silence would not last. The enemy wasn't finished. They were waiting, and Earth had no choice left. It had to go to them, in the cold dark of deep space. The Crimson Vow hovered near the edge of the galactic map, so far beyond the last star that most maps simply called it Void Zone Zero. No charts, no beacons, no return path. Inside the command deck, Kale stood before his team. Behind him, a black swirling gate pulsed on the screen, massive, jagged, and alive. It had been found deep in Arcadia's hive nest. It wasn't just a gate. It was a mouth, and it was open. "This is where they come from," Kale said. "This is how they reach our worlds. It's not just another system. It's another reality." Evercom added, "Dimensional space tier detected. This gate leads to a zone with no known physics. No light, no stars. Ow. Only noise and structure of psychic origin." Lysa shook her head. "So it's not a place, it's a mind." Kale's voice was firm. "A mind that eats fear. We go in, we find the source, and we end it. Because if we don't, it will wake again. And Earth won't be enough to feed it next time." Rika stood up slowly. Her face was pale but steady. "Then let's kill a god." Operation name, Final Descent. The Dragon fleet didn't go in full. Only 3 ships, the stealthiest, fastest, strongest. The others stayed behind, guarding Earth's edge. If the dragons failed, at least someone might still fight as they crossed into the gate. Space twisted. The stars disappeared. Time slowed. The ships groaned like they were entering the lungs of something alive. And then the universe changed. Inside the void, there were no rules. Black shapes drifted like ghosts. Space turned sideways. Voices whispered from the metal walls. The crew saw things, memories, fears, regrets. A soldier saw his mother dying again. Another saw a war that never happened but felt real. Corwin vomited in his helmet. Lysa wept silently. Only Rika stayed still. Her mind had broken once, long ago. Nothing inside the void could hurt what was already cracked. At the front of the ship, Kale activated the blind protocol system that turned off all visuals and replaced them with data patterns. You couldn't see here? You had to feel your way through? Hours passed? Or maybe minutes? Time bled together then. They saw it, a shape in the distance, moving, breathing, not a ship, not a city, not even a monster. It was a mind the size of a moon, floating, pulsing, with long metal arms wrapped around itself like it was dreaming. The heart of the devourer, and it was slowly waking up. Talos whispered across the comms. "This structure is feeding on the fear of multiple systems. I count over 12 psychic threads connecting to known colonies. It is feeding right now." Kale turned to his crew. "Kill it here, or it never stops." "Options?" Rika asked. Talos hesitated. "Then one. I have a logic virus built to infect synthetic minds. This creature is part machine. If I get close, I may enter it and shut it down." Kale frowned. "You sure?" "I am not sure of anything inside this place." "Send it," Kale ordered. "We buy it time, everyone. Else prepare for ground insertion." The ships broke apart, diving toward the massive surface of the creature's mind. There were no defenses, no turrets, no guns, but there were shadows, creatures made of nightmare, tall, thin, eyeless. They didn't fly, they floated, like they were part of the space itself. They came for the dragons, and the dragons fought back. The sky burned with plasma. The shadows screamed in silence. Every round, every blade strike, echoed like thunder in a place that had never known light. Rika landed first. Her boots hit a soft surface, like skin stretched over metal. She pressed forward, her squad behind her. They had to reach the center as they moved. The walls changed. Faces appeared, human, alien, screaming, laughing. One wall showed Rika herself, dying. Another showed her as a child, alone. Another as a hero. Failing, she kept walking. "You can show me whatever you want. I'm still coming." They reached the core. A tower of light pulsed at the center of the void. Not solid, not real, but powerful. Talos' voice came over now. Uploading virus. The light shook. The walls screamed. The shadows shrieked and began collapsing. Into fire, the structure twisted, split open, and the devourer awoke. A voice filled every human soul. Not words. It's just one emotion. Hunger. Kale dropped to one knee, blood dripping from his nose. Lysa screamed. Corwin collapsed, but Rika stood. She walked to the light and whispered, "Sleep." The light fought back. She stepped closer. "You've eaten enough." It reached for her. She raised her rifle, placed it into the core, and pulled the trigger. The virus struck, the core cracked. The mind screamed, reality shattered, and the dragons vanished into white. Somewhere above Earth, the gate at the edge of space collapsed. The black ring shattered. The stars returned, and from the void, a single ship drifted out. The Crimson Vow, half broken, burning, but alive. Kale sat in the command chair, armor torn, eyes red. Rika stood behind him, silent. They had won. But they had also seen something terrible. This wasn't the only devourer. There were more, and now they knew Earth was not afraid. Earth stood quiet, but not at peace. The gate was gone. The devourer silenced. The dragon fleet returned scarred, scorched, changed. People on Earth cheered. They held parades, called it victory. But General Kale knew better. So did the dragons. Because what they'd seen in the void wasn't the end. It was only a glimpse of something bigger, older, angrier. And now it was awake. Inside Earth's Defense Command, Kale stood in front of the World Council. Behind him, Rika, Lysa, and Corwin, all standing silent, armored, exhausted. The room was filled with politicians, generals, scientists, their suits clean, their hands soft, their eyes full of ignorance. "You promised us," one of them said. "You told us the threat was gone." Kale's voice cut like steel. One threat. The devourer was one mouth and a much larger body. We didn't win a war, we lit a beacon. Now everything else out there knows Earth exists. A scientist stood up. "We've seen no evidence of Kale," through a file on the table. It opened into a projection. 4 colonies, gone. No distress calls. No survivors, not burned, not attacked. Just erased. The scientist went quiet. Kale pointed to the data. "This isn't war. This is something else. They don't want resources. They don't want territory. They want fear. And they want us to know they remember what we did." Meanwhile, the far side of the galaxy, the sky cracked open above a nameless world. From the tier came ships not like those seen before. These weren't black and twisted, were golden, tall, shaped like cathedrals that floated. No fire, no sound, just perfect silence. Inside them were beings of light and shadow, ancient, godlike. They had watched the devourer fall, and now they came not to warn, but to judge. One of them, towering and crowned with flame, opened its hand. A planet shattered. No screams, just silence, and then a whisper through space. "We remember Earth." Back on Earth, the stars blinked, then vanished. Every telescope went dark. Every outpost fell silent. Talos, now rebuilt and more powerful than ever, stood beside Kale in the command hub. "Update," Kale said. THA loss projected a massive structure moving toward the Milky Way. No engines. No radiation, just mass and intention. Designation: the Rememberer. Size: moon. Purpose: unknown. It did 2 Earth orbit. 73 hours. Kale stared at it. "Do we have weapons that can stop it?" Talos answered. "No." Silence. Then, "Do we run?" Rika asked. Kale shook his head. "There's nowhere left to run. This isn't just another battle. This is the moment we show them something they've never felt before." Lysa raised an eyebrow. "What's that?" Kale turned to face the holomap. His voice was fire, that gods can bleed. 72 hours before contact, The world-prepared Earth Defense Activated Project. HFY last resort system built deep under Antarctica. The Dragons returned to their bases. Every war factory lit up. Civilian cities went underground. Massive orbital cannons turned toward the black sky. And the people of Earth watched, waited, held their breath. Then it came. The Rememberer arrived. Not a ship. A tomb. Covered in statues made of stardust. Of burning white, it spoke not through sound, but through every screen, every speaker. Every child's dream. We are not your enemy. You made yourself known. Now we measure your worth. And then it did the unthinkable. It resurrected Arcadia. Every building, every light, every person, all restored. The colony floated above Earth's orbit, shining. Kale stared in horror. That's not Arcadia. That's a copy. Rika gasped. It's a test. And it was. The Rememberer broadcast one final message. Defend what you love. Show us who you are. And it launched itself at Arcadia. A god-sized attack, no warning. No mercy. And Earth responded. The sky turned into fire. Dragons launched. Orbital. Defenses roared. Massive beams slammed into the godship, but they did nothing. Kale led the charge in his flagship Black Sun. Dragging a grav-tethered asteroid behind it like a club, Rika and her team dropped directly into the core of the Rememberer. Cutting through golden halls filled with silent watchers, nothing fights back, Lisa said. Why? There. Watching, Rika said, measuring, and then. The test changed. Arcadia began to crack. Not from the attack, from the inside. People screamed. The fake colony began to bleed, and the Rememberer whispered, "This is what you are. You break. What you protect. You burn your hope to feed your rage." Kale stared at the transmission. It's not judging our strength. It's judging our soul. Back in the void core of the Rememberer, Rika found a control room. Heart dot inside it. The memories of every human fear ever recorded. Stored like files. She saw her brother. She saw Kale's failures. She saw Earth's endless wars. And then she saw something worse. The other gods. Watching, laughing, waiting, Rika reached forward and pulled the breaker. The Rememberer shook. The test ended. Everything went white, then black, then calm. The Rememberer vanished. Arcadia faded. The sky returned, and a new message echoed across the galaxy. Earth has passed, but the stars are not kind. The next to come will not measure. They will burn. Kale sat alone in the war chamber. Rika joined him. Did we win? Kale looked up. His voice was tired. No, but we're still here. She nodded. Then we fight. The stars had gone silent again. But it wasn't peace. It was the deep, waiting quiet before the final storm. Earth had passed the test of the Remember, barely. The copy of Arcadia had vanished. The golden godship retreated into the dark without. War, without mercy, without praise. But before it disappeared, it left a warning. The next to come will not measure. They will burn, and now. They were coming. General Kale stood alone on the roof of Earth Defense Central, looking out over a gray sky above him. Massive ships hovered like vultures' dragon carriers, orbital cannons, mobile cities turned into fortresses. The Earth was now one giant bunker. Everything had changed. Kale had changed. He no longer wore medals, no longer spoke to politicians. He was a soldier of extinction now, commander of the final war. Behind him, Rika stepped onto the roof. She said nothing at first. She just stood beside him. "I thought we bought time," she finally said. Kale shook his head. "We bought a promise." Rika's jaw tightened. "And let's break it." 2 days later, the sky broke open, no warning, no signal, not even a ripple. The new enemy appeared above Saturn's orbit. Not ships, not beasts, something beyond form. It looked like a living storm, miles wide. Purple lightning, swirling bones. Rings of broken moons. At its center, a cold, blinking eye that saw across time, Talos scanned it, then paused. Kale demanded report. Talos replied in a voice quieter than usual. There is no data. There is no pattern. This is not a species. This is an extinction event. Earth mobilized, the dragons launched. Every last one. Every fleet from Mars, Venus, Luna, and Europa lit their engines. This was it. There would be no round two, no retreat, no home to return to. This was the last flame of Earth. The battle at Saturn, they met the storm at the rings of Saturn. Spoke, not in words, in echoes, voices from Earth's past, from Arcadia, from fallen colonies. We warned you, kept the fire burning. Now we take the flame. Then it attacked. Not with lasers, not with metal, with memory each. Human mind in the fleet was pulled in divisions. Kale relived his first command. His failure, his brother's death, his shame. Rika saw her whole family consumed on the first colony strike. She watched it again. Lysa couldn't move. Corwin sobbed quietly. Ships froze. The fleet was dying and no weapon had even touched them. Yet, then Talos did something no AI should. He sacrificed his own code. He uploaded himself into the storm. Don't watch, said. Just fight. And then he was gone. The storm screamed, flinched, blinked just for a second. That was enough, Kale roared. Fire everything. Sky exploded. Missiles, gravity lances, railguns, sunbeams. Thousands of weapons from thousands of ships tore into the core. It twisted, fought back. Hundreds of human ships vanished in flashes of light, but the dragons kept coming. Rika led the charge. She flew straight into the heart of the storm in a shattered Phoenix-class fighter. Her hull burned. Her system screamed. Inside the storm, she saw Earth burning, not a vision, promise. She screamed louder. I am Earth's daughter. She detonated her ship right inside the eye. The storm cracked. Kale gave the order. Now. The HFY cannon, Earth's hidden weapon deep under Antarctica, fired one time. A beam made of collapsed matter and raw will. It hit the storm's core, and the stars turned black. Silence for one terrible second. Everyone thought they'd died. Then, Earth lit up again. The sky was clear, the storm was gone, and only pieces remain. Dust, broken time. Later, Kel stood on what was left of Luna Base, looking at Earth from afar beside him. Odd, alive, burned, changed. You jumped into? A god, he said. She shrugged. Wasn't the first time. He smiled just a little. Behind them, Earth slowly began to heal. The stars watched, but none came. For now, epilogue years passed. People forgot the names. The horrors, but not the dragons. They remembered because Earth had stared down gods. And when the stars demanded fear, Earth gave them fire.